my campaign, people who work for me, my wife has been subjected to incredibly ugly stuff. And we don't make a big deal about it.
That was Bernie Sanders responding to KCPQ's reporter Brandy Cruz's question about his supporters and whether he's doing anything to rein them in, because of course this whole Bernie bro narrative just will not die. It's the only thing the corporate Democrats can latch onto in an effort to smear Sanders, but it hasn't worked so far. And interestingly enough, there was a series of town halls on CNN last night featuring Democratic candidates. Anderson Cooper brought up the whole Bernie bro narrative during the town hall, and here's how Sanders responded.
I'm a big supporter, but for those who still need to hear it, will you condemn the Bernie bro behavior?
I will condemn absolutely anybody, including my campaign or any other campaign, that makes vicious personal attacks against people. What our people are involved in, we are a campaign which believes in compassion, which believes in justice. So I don't tolerate ugly attacks against anybody. But let me just say this. Talk to the people in my campaign, often the African-American women in this campaign. Talk to my wife about the kind of ugly attacks that have come into us. So right now, which is a very serious national problem, we have an internet which is essentially the Wild West. Somebody could say, hey, I'm Anderson Cooper, and Zippo say some ugly things. And right now that cannot be stopped.
Just want to point to the fact that he said Zippo. I really like that.
Well, there's no malarkey in that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so, all of this is wrong. It's total BS framing. Bernie's too polite as usual. It's a perfectly good answer. It's an acceptable answer, but it leaves the frame in place. The framing is Bernie's supporters, who are the most progressive people in the country, the ones that look out for the disadvantaged communities the most, are actually the ugliest or the most vile or the most all of these things. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. Okay, so let me be clear about that. So the mainstream media attacks Bernie Sanders and his supporters 24/7. So this is how this game is played. They'll go, aren't you a sad, pathetic, terrible, ugly, vile person on the internet, right? And you go, no, that's not fair. I knew it. You see that? He called me a liar. They're so rude, they're barbarians. Wait a minute, you just spat in our face. You just attacked us 24/7. You took one or two internet trolls who, by the way, no one knows whose side they're actually on. Really? Did you do exhaustive analysis, CNN or anyone else, to find out if they're actually establishment supporters or Biden supporters? You didn't do any of that. You don't know who they are. And then you make it seem like all Bernie Sanders supporters are vile, terrible, etc. You do that in an effort to lie and to smear Bernie Sanders and all of the people who are voting for him. And so you never do that to any other campaign.
Right.
And then you turn around and pretend as if Bernie Sanders should be condemning them more. Why aren't you condemning them? Those pieces of crap, condemn them. You see how ugly they are? No, you just did it. You just did it. You smeared all of us.
So I actually think that it was good that this came up again, because it gave Bernie Sanders a very clear avenue, very public platform to condemn any type of abuse online. Because the argument that we keep hearing over and over again from these disingenuous bad faith actors is, well, I mean, look, sure, I mean, it's not Bernie Sanders, it's not members of his campaign that are doing all this abusive stuff online. Sure, it's random people and random supporters, but why isn't he saying something? Why doesn't he condemn them? All right, well, he condemned them once already. I mean, he's condemned them several times previously, but this is the most recent example, right, during this town hall. And then it came up again, and he condemned it again. Take a look.
Two things. Number one, I'm totally against online bullying and harassment. And I condemn anybody who claims to speak for me. You know, I have a hard time understanding, given my views, which everybody knows, how anybody who thinks they are supporting me would do some ugly and terrible thing. But also, let me just say this, and I don't want to be overly paranoid here, is that, we live in a crazy time. And there are a lot of folks out there who do bots and all this other thing. I saw some of those things. And there are people out there who want to divide the progressive movement.
So he condemns the online bullying again, but I want to be clear about something. Jennifer Rubin yesterday tweeted something about how, it's so terrible. The same narrative that we've been seeing about the so-called Bernie bros. And she made a reference to like his campaign and how some of his staffers are engaging in it. I just want one example. I want one example of someone in the Bernie Sanders campaign doing or saying anything that could be considered bullying or harassment or abusive. It doesn't exist. What they don't like is that there are now a group of progressive people on Twitter who are pretty well organized.
Yeah.
Way more organized than they were in 2016.
Yep.
And they don't like that we're organized, and they don't like that we respond to their attempts to smear Bernie Sanders with the facts. The facts are the facts. You can't change that. Now, it might feel like you're being bullied and you're being, bombarded with facts that you don't like, but that's called life, and you don't have to be on Twitter. If you can't handle the truth about the candidate that you're attempting to smear, then you're too fragile to be online. Get off.
But it goes way beyond that. First of all, I don't accept any of this framing. Jennifer Rubin smears people more than almost anyone in the mainstream media. For her to lie time after time and call people terrible names, which she does almost in every column, and then turn around and go, oh my God, I've got the vapors. I'm so offended.
Right.
I'm allowed to punch you in the face 1,000 times over because I'm in the establishment. But if you dare say, hey, by the way, while you were punching me in the face, you told a lie. You barbarians, how dare you? And so Jennifer Rubin, by the way, you're a Republican who helped start the Iraq war. I have 0% interest. You know what was really barbaric, Jennifer Rubin? The Iraq war that killed hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. You did that, and then don't come around saying, oh no, my feelings have been hurt. And I don't know if you know this, those civilians in Iraq don't count. They're plebeians, they're just masses. Our troops who died in Iraq, they don't count. The only people that count are in the club. And I'm in the club, I write for the Washington Post, and you're not allowed to offend me. So you guys are allowed to lie about us for the last 4 decades, including right now, in the middle of the campaign. They're lying about Bernie's health as we speak. We're gonna get to that story next. And then you turn around and you go, no, you're not allowed to tell people that I'm lying about you. And if you do, you're being uncivil. And then I'm gonna lie about you more and pretend that you're all not only ugly, that's a word they use all the time. You people are ugly. You see how I'm civil? But I'm in the club, so I'm allowed to say anything I want to people outside the club. And then the second thing they say is potentially violent. You just made that up. You just made it up because you want to smear people. What do you mean potentially? Did anyone do violence? No, but I just wanted to just attack all of you and say terrible, terrible things about you with impunity. God damn it, why won't you know your role? Your role is to sit outside the club and get crumbs off our goddamn table. And if you raise your voice, you're not allowed to because we control all the media. Sad day for you, Jennifer Rubin, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN. You no longer control all of the media. If you want to cry about it, go cry in a corner, I don't give a damn.
So this is a way to distract from speaking about policy, debating about policy. Think about that. There's been little to no debate about what Bernie Sanders is bringing to the table policy-wise. All of the focus from corporate Democrats and conservative opinion writers like Jennifer Rubin has been on nonsense, smears about the so-called Bernie bros, or fear-mongering about Bernie Sanders' age, or what he identifies as ideologically, what his party registration is in Vermont, like just nonsense that doesn't actually matter to the American people. And when you have organized progressives online that do like rapid fire response to all this nonsense, well, their feelings get hurt. And I love it, I love it. So go ahead and continue crying about it. Nothing is gonna change, and they can't provide a single example of any type of official either encouraging online bullying or engaging in online bullying. One other thing though, which I think is hilarious, while all of these disingenuous, corporatists and elites argue about how, the Bernie bro behavior is just unacceptable. Well, why don't we talk about the way Nina Turner is treated online? Why don't we talk about the way the national press secretary for the Bernie Sanders campaign, Brianna Joy Gray, is treated online? I mean, just look at their mentions. It's vicious, but I don't see these women going around the country crying and whining about it, right? They're strong, they're fighters, and they focus on policy. That's something that they can't do because they know that the establishment policy proposals aren't popular with the American people. So they just deflect and focus on this nonsense.
In fact, why do you think they've turned to personal attacks? Because for 1 year straight, they attacked his policies. Medicare for all, how are you gonna pay for that? How are you gonna pay for that? It's unpopular. They'd show a poll, it's at 70%, they'd just lie. They'd go, no, it's unpopular. You'll never get elected with Medicare for all. Then he won Iowa, then he won New Hampshire. They're like, damn it. We all agreed, the Democrats, the Republicans, and the media, we all agreed to smear Medicare for all, and we spent literally billions of dollars attacking Medicare for all, and it's still at 55% popularity. It's still at 64% popularity with independents and 77% with Democrats. It didn't work. So now let's do ugly attacks against Bernie Sanders and try to make him look like the bad guy while pretending to be innocent. But whatever we do not talk about policy. It didn't work. It turns out they love his policies. And these masses, they're almost in charge. It's almost like we have a democracy, and we've got to get our control back. And last thing about this, have they ever been polite to us? They have said 1,000 horrible things about progressives. But so why doesn't that count? Because in their mentality, you're not a person, you don't matter. You're not someone powerful in Washington. So since you don't matter, they can say anything they want about you, and it doesn't offend any of their friends. Everybody's still happy. You're outside in the cold. Who gives a damn about you? But if you dare, when you're not even a person, you dare to criticize anyone inside the club, that spreads like wildfire. Did you hear? Oh my God, Bobby in the club was offended. Bobby was offended, everybody, Bobby was offended. Look at these people out there in the cold. How dare they attack us? Let's attack them again. Let's try to crush them.
It is
and that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, it is amazing to see all these people in positions of privilege and power cry about online bullying that doesn't really exist.
Whereas when they bully people time and time and time again, lie and smear, they go, no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count because we're doing it to nobodies. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.